Hey everybody, Rob Maurer here, and this will be a pretty short episode. Not a whole lot going on today, but we do have some news on Model Y and Model 3, as well as an update on the fire situation in California, as some of those evacuations have happened relatively close to Fremont, so we'll check in on that. Other than that, I'm spending most of today prepping for tomorrow's episode. We'll start here with the fires. I have gotten some questions on if these California fires would potentially impact Tesla's operations at their Fremont factory. So if we look at a map and we look at where the fires are occurring, where the evacuation orders and warnings are, we can see that that is happening relatively close to Fremont to the southeast, but as of yet, no evacuation order or warning applies to the location of Tesla's factory. As we may guess, it would be unlikely for that to happen because of how industrialized that area is, and we can see that the closest evacuation warning to Fremont runs up against Interstate 680, so that acts as a nice barrier, a fire protectant for Tesla's operations there. So there should be no concern, at least as far as operating the factory goes. Now, if we think about the workforce, obviously some of them may live in these areas that are under evacuation orders or warnings, but I'm sure Tesla will figure out a way to manage through things like that. And some of these evacuation warnings are already being lifted. For example, about an hour ago, the warning for Santa Clara County, which is just south of Fremont, Alameda County, was lifted. So obviously unfortunate circumstances, but I don't expect a material impact to Tesla's operations from these fires. All right, next up today is an infographic that was released on the Tesla China Weibo account, highlighting the advantages of the single-piece rear casting for the Model Y. This has been reported on a little bit. Most of the reporting has focused on a statement in there that talks about Tesla starting operation of the single-piece body casting machine at their Fremont factory, but we had already talked about that back on August 13th. So what was more interesting to me in this infographic was some of the stats that Tesla China shared on the rear casting. As we already knew, the casting process reduces the number of parts needed for the rear underbody from 70 with stamping down to 1 with casting. But Tesla China shares in this infographic that actually reduces the weight of the rear underbody by 30%. So not only is this progress in the manufacturing process, but it should also improve the product. That lower weight leads to more range and performance. Tesla also talks about how they already have incredibly high safety ratings, but this process allows them to improve the safety design even more and actually improve collision tests by about 20%. So pretty exciting, and hopefully Tesla will give us an update on how this has been going from a manufacturing perspective on the Q3 earnings call. The rest of the infographic in and of itself I thought was pretty interesting. They sort of structured it by saying, oh, you think the only progress that Tesla is making is happening through over-the-air updates? No. That led to the in-depth discussion on all the benefits here from the casting process, which, by the way, I should mention one other one, was that it can use 100% of the raw materials versus stamping was about 50%, and also that the casting can then recycle other stamped aluminum sheet waste. But after walking through all of those advantages, they sort of close out the infographic by saying, in a heavily translated quote, which comes from pulling from an image and then putting that into Google Translate, it says, quote, "The activation of the one-piece casting machine will allow Tesla to build more modern car models, but this is not the end point, and all Tesla will never stop on the road to overthrow the tradition." End quote. So nice little sentiment there, even if that does translate to be a little bit less aggressive. This is what Tesla is all about, the pace of innovation. The infographic also does note, unsurprisingly, quote, "In the future, Tesla Shanghai Superfactory will also equip the die casting machine." End quote. Thank you to @KelvinYang7 on Twitter for, I believe, being the first one to share that infographic out. All right, last thing today, which is also coming from China, Tesla has filed paperwork with the Ministry of Industry and Information Technology in China for a Model 3 that has black trim rather than the current chrome trim. So this would then be updated to match the trim on the Model Y. It would seem with this application that would then become the standard for the Model 3, at least in China, but it would remain to be seen if that would carry over to the US factory. Anyway, that's really it for today. As I said, short episode, but I will be back again tomorrow. As always, thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and sign up for notifications. Make sure you're following me on Twitter @TeslaPodcast, and I'll see you tomorrow for the Wednesday, August 26th episode of Tesla Daily. Thank you.